I've always enjoyed the Alien franchise despite its ups and downs. As a whole, it has always been pretty hit or miss. The original is an undeniable classic, and its sequel, Aliens, is a fun, action packed genre swap follow up. I think Prometheus is an underrated affair, and Covenant is just a bunch of dumb fun, with elements that harken back to the original. Then, on the other side, we have Alien 3 and Resurrection, which are both just downright bad films, and both AVP movies that are just schlocky fanfare. So it was hard to tell which end of the spectrum the next entry would land on. Well, I'm happy to report that this one is pretty damn good. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell a friend. And if you're new here, check out the rest of the channel, and let me know what you think. Let's dive into Alien Romulus. I have been anticipating this movie all year. I didn't love Covenant. There were a lot of issues in that film, but I have always really been interested in the existential aspects of these movies, and I think Covenant utilized those elements well, but the movie as a whole left a lot on the table. Now, just hearing the buzz around Romulus, everyone involved wanted to take this movie back to the franchise's roots, and I think it successfully does that. Sure, some of it is a little derivative, but with a sci-fi horror franchise that has been going for over 45 years, you're gonna see some of the same. It's just inevitable. But what I really enjoyed about this movie is it got back to the gritty, claustrophobic, close quarters horror basics. This movie is creepy. That's something this franchise has been missing for a while. A lot of the most recent entries have landed more on the action thriller end, with horror elements stitched in. But Romulus is a straight up space horror film. Fede Alvarez did a phenomenal job establishing the tone and the aesthetic for this movie. I think this entry, more than the rest, really embodies the original classic and its aspects that made it so good. Not to mention, this film is beautiful. The cinematography and the production design is gorgeous throughout the entire film. You can tell that Alvarez wanted to utilize practical sets and designs as much as possible, and it shows. So many parts of this film look so real and tangible, just adding even more depth and believability to the skin-crawling sequences of this film. Now, obviously, there are CGI elements. With a movie of this scale, you're going to utilize every technology available. But those elements are used so complementary that you don't even notice them. It's pretty seamless. Which in today's market, when more and more movies are relying so heavily on an abundance of CGI work, it was a welcome surprise. The cast in this entry is great. Alvarez does a lot with a little. We don't get a lot of individual time with any one character, but he utilizes the time we do get to really flesh out each one, even if it is only a few minor details. He adds enough depth to make you care. I would say the weakest is definitely Navarro. We don't really go much in depth into who her character is and why she's doing what she's doing, and she's also the first one to bite the dust. But other than that, we understand what motivates each character, who they are, etc. And each character has their own unique qualities. And it's not like you want to get attached, because we all know these movies, the majority of the cast is going to die. That's just how it goes. But you do care for Rain, Andy, Kay, and Tyler. Rain and Andy especially. Andy is a standout, portrayed by David Johnson. I honestly always find the synthetics the most interesting in the franchise, mostly due to the actors that portray them, and Johnson does such a good job. In Romulus, he portrays two characters, just like Fassbender in Covenant. One side, a reserved, failing android who enjoys simple jokes and being a loyal companion to Rain, the only family she has left. On the other side, a by-the-books, cold and calculated agent of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, whose main directive is to preserve the work on the alien creatures that they have done. He eloquently flashes between the two throughout this movie. And I enjoy his surrogate sister as well. Rain's story is good. A girl trapped in a mining colony just looking for a way out, to start a new life. She reluctantly accepts her ex's offer to use Andy to access a derelict space station to acquire stasis pods so they can all escape to a far-off system and start anew. It's compelling. It adds a human element to what otherwise would just be a simple slasher film filled with gore and violence. We get a look at our new big bad, alien hybrid in the climax, a human xenomorph mutation bred from the Prometheus strain, great tieback. It's eerie, it's gross, it's like nothing we've seen in this universe before, and the final standoff with the creature is a nod to the classic while also doing something new. It's a thrilling action sequence, and this movie is chock full of those. There's some really unique and fun scenes. Specifically, a sequence where our characters are journeying from one end of the station to the opposite. And to access the opposite end, they have to move down a hallway that is covered with facehuggers. So we go through this entire, probably 3 to 4 minute sequence with our characters moving slowly and silently as to not get stalked by these facehuggers, and in typical fashion, all hell breaks loose. It is a lot of fun. Another aspect I really appreciated was how Alvarez was able to tie this film into the original, as well as the two prequels, without it feeling forced or ridiculously fan-servicey. Events of the original film directly tie into this one at the beginning, as the outbreak on the station is caused by the discovery of the original xenomorph. The events of Prometheus are alluded to, and things from that movie affect the ending, but this movie is still able to stand on its own, and I appreciated that aspect. I think Romulus is the best entry we've had in this franchise since Aliens. It's a fantastic foray back into the franchise's horror roots, and it still breathes fresh life into it. It expands upon the lore, its characters are solid, the effects and visuals are amazing, and it's just downright thrilling. This might be my second favorite movie in this franchise. After Covenant, I was unsure if I cared about any more entries into this universe, but I think Alvarez has changed my mind. If further installments down the line keep this standard in mind during the course of their production, then I would be excited to see what comes next.